Biggest win.
Um, Probably, it sounds weird, but probably St. Peter's in the conference tournament. You know, I think I probably had double digits. I mean, I probably was in the 30s, but it was a really great win for us at the time in the conference tournament. So that would probably be the one I'd have to say. There are a few big ones and last second shots. One against Fairfield at Fairfield, probably during my sophomore year, I think. I mean, there were some good wins.
Biggest disappointment.
Mm. Huh. You know what? I think the biggest disappointment for me was never being able to make it to a conference championship. If I'd had to say that in basketball, I would love to have been in the conference championship and then see where we could go and go to the NCAAs and things like that. So that's probably the biggest disappointment for me as a team, not being able to do that. I mean, you get individual accolades and that's great, but you want to be able to do those great things as a team. So not being able to do that would probably be the biggest disappointment.
Biggest surprise.
Hmm. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know. Maybe the things I accomplished in cross country in college, being a dual sport person, I think that was really hard to win some of the championships that, you know, we won as a team was great. I mean, so I got the team accomplishments and championships in another sport. As far as cross country, we had a great team, and then maybe winning, a MAC championship and things like that probably would surprise me because I was a dual sport person and that wasn't where my sole attention was. So that's pretty surprising that somebody can be able to do that and that's not their true sport, you know.
Mhm.
So that's what I would say.
Favorite year was which?
Oh wow. Hmm. I think my senior year. Um, you know, there were a lot of freshmen that came into the program basketball wise that were really good to help us make a climb, which I really enjoyed. Um, I think I enjoyed being a leader on that team and helping the younger players, who I still keep in touch with and see a lot. Um, but yeah, I think my senior year was actually my favorite year.
You have spent your life coaching, currently now at the University of Richmond. Did you ever coach against Fordham?
Yes, the last year, I mean, yes. I mean, last year we played at Fordham. Actually, we're up 10 and wound up losing that game, so that was a heartbreaker. Um, and then they came to us the year before and we beat them. And then last year in the conference tournament, we beat them to get into the semifinals. So a few times since we're all in the Atlantic 10 now, so several times now.
What were your emotions going into the Fordham gym, knowing that you got a plaque in there? What
Yeah,
was that like?
it's weird. Um, it's nice. I it's really weird because I'm not somebody who says, oh, hey, look at me. I did these things. Hey, look at me, blah, blah, blah. But it's just a sign of the accomplishments that you did. It brings back a lot of memories, a lot of history in that gym. I think I knew every dead spot in that gym, dribbling a basketball and things like that, and birds flying up in the top of the arena and things like that. So, but it was a place I spent so much time, in the gym. I was in that gym constantly in between classes and things like that. So it brought back a lot of memories. Now, you know, my time there, I love my time there, but when I'm on the other side coaching, you want to beat them, right? You want to beat, even though that's your where you went to school and that's your alma mater. You want to beat them, but yeah, I mean, it's just when you walk into Rose Hill, there's a picture of me and a couple other women's basketball players there still, and things like that. So that's incredible, right? I mean, you know, to be able to see that when you walk in a gym, right? Most of the time they build statues for people and things like that, but that's after they pass away. So when you go into a gym and you actually see yourself there and you're still alive, that's pretty good.
Did your players see your picture
They did. And,
and what they say?
they took a picture and they're like, oh, oh my God, and things like that. But, the players are interesting, right? They have everything at their fingertips now. So, before they come in and before you're talking to them on the phone and you're recruiting them, they Google you. So they know what you've done and things like that. And when you're working them out, they know. You don't have to tell them anything. They know. So um, like I said, everything's at their fingertips. And I think, in coaching, I think they really respect the things I've done and the things that because I always tell players I'm not going to have you do anything I've never done myself. And I
Mm.
think they know when you've been through the trenches and you've been through practices and tough practices and things like that, that they respect that you've experienced that with, what they're going through. So
What is your most cherished memory from the field of play? And it could be track or it could be basketball. Well, I'm asking you multiple multiple choice questions.
um I'll tell you what, and my passion was for basketball, but I got to tell you, um, this was a high school when I made the Kinney Nationals team, when I made the Northeast team, and they only take 7 on a team, so Northeast, Southeast, different things like that. That was an amazing accomplishment that I could never thought that I would be that good to make that team. I mean, I ran with on my team, there was an Olympian on my team who wound up running in the, marathon in the Olympics and things like that. Kathy Shiro was her maiden name. And I was on a team with people that were Olympians and went on to do great things in college for that sport. So that was extremely memorable for me. And it wasn't a basketball memory. And it was it is still to this day. I don't know how that happened, but it happened.
What are you most proud of?
I think I'm most proud of the person that I am and that I've become. I think a lot of people, I'm in the profession of coaching, right? So a lot of people have egos. I don't think I've ever had a big ego about what I've accomplished and what I've done. I know I've worked really hard to do the things that I've done. Um, it's more important for me that I'm a good person and that I'm able to teach people um, along the way. Because I always say this: when you pass away, it's not going to say Jeanine Radice scored this many points and did this and this and this. People are going to remember you for who you are as a person. Hey, is she a really good person? Is she humble? Is she this? Is she that? So the accolades are really great, and I cherish those accolades. But I think it's more important for me that I'm a good person.
In line with that, you once said, I'd like to make a name for myself in the athletic circle. My goodness, boy, did you ever do that?
Yeah, and like I said, that's great to look back on and things like that. But I think I cherish, like I said, players saying, "Hey, you helped me along the way." And in the beginning, I didn't realize what you were doing and how you were helping me, but I realized it, and you prepared me for outside of what I'm going to do, or whether I'm going to go play in Europe or whatever the case may be. Um, I think the most gratifying thing is to be able to develop a person, right? Um, Personally and ability wise from their freshman year to their senior year. I mean, we have some seniors on our team this year that, from their freshman year to their senior year, the growth has been amazing, amazing. And that's a testament to their work ethic. But I think hopefully I've had a hand in some of that as well.
Were there any opportunities for you to continue playing after Fordham?
Yeah, there were. I had an agent back then or somebody, if you want to say, from New York, and I had to send in. Back then, it was cassette tapes, right? These big cassette tapes of me playing, but overseas. And so I was, I had the opportunity to go play in Budapest, Hungary, and then also Italy because I'm Italian descent, and so they were looking for me to go over there to play as well. And then so I decided that that wasn't what I wanted to do, and decided to get my master's and go on from there.
and decided that I wanted to stay in the game as a coach.
Right, absolutely. Yep. So, and I didn't think, if I went to go play basketball, that's great. That's new experiences. That's thing. I'm a kid from New York, right? A kid from New York City, and spent most of my life in New York City and the surroundings. So I think for me too to go overseas to play, and not be close to my family and things like that, I was a little bit apprehensive of that. Yes, it would have been a great opportunity, but it's not the opportunity that players get now going overseas and the things they have now. It was very, very different back then. So I think if I was a player now and this time, I would definitely go. But it was different back then.
It was. And was it tough to stop playing and stop running?
You know what? It was. I mean, the year I finished basketball, I had an extra year of eligibility to run. So that helped me. But my first 2 years not playing basketball competitive was extremely tough. I missed it. I missed the game. With running, when you asked me before what my passion was, and it was basketball, I always knew that after college, I can continue to run, right? There's road races, there's different things that you can get into, but there's not many things organized for women to play other than go overseas. And some went, but like I said, it wasn't big back then. So I always knew that I wanted to play basketball because my time was short, and running, I can compete for a long time if that's what I wanted to do.
Mhm. Tell us about graduation day.
It was hot, I could tell you that. It was really hot on Eddie's parade, and we're in black cap and gowns and things like that. But it was emotional. It was satisfying in one regard, because obviously you're a grad, right, graduate and of a great university. Um, but it was emotional, right? Because you weren't going to see the people that you spent your time with in undergraduate anymore. They were going to go on to the workforce and things like that. But I knew I was coming back for a year to run, so that also helped. But I think after my fifth year in running, that it was tough. It's tough to get used to not being part of a team anymore, and
Mm.
things like that, and the camaraderie and different things that you share with your teammates on the road and different things like that. But I still run. I still run now. Not that much. I probably run 6 days a week, maybe 4 miles a day. But I always knew I can run, and then I ran some road races and things like that when I first got out of college and stuff like that. So that was a little bit easier. But organized basketball after college, it's not there anymore. So
Yeah. You were inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1995. How were you told?
mm, I got a phone call, I believe, telling me, and then they sent a letter also in the mail. So a phone call and a letter, and I was like, wow, I was coaching at Seton Hall at the time, and I'm like, haven't been out that long, and blah blah blah. But because there's usually a time limit and things like that, and I guess it was 5, 7 years after I graduated. No, maybe 6 years after I graduated. Right, you said 95, so I graduated 89. So I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is an honor. And again, when you play and you do the things you do and you run and you play basketball, you never, the goal wasn't to be in the Hall of Fame. That
Right.
wasn't the thought. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe people have those kind of goals and things. That wasn't the thought process going through. The thought process was compete every day, be the best that you could be every day. And that led to the Hall of Fame. So it was an unbelievable experience.
What do you remember about the day of your enshrinement?
I'll tell you what, I was nervous because they asked me to speak on behalf of all the other inductees. And I'm like, are you kidding me? There's a Pulitzer Prize winner here. Why can't he speak? They're asking me. I'm like, oh God, there were so many other accomplished people to speak. And I'm like, geez, okay. So I was nervous that day to speak. And then I spoke because, I remember calling some of the other inductees and, asking them what their feeling was when they were at Fordham, right? Because when you speak on behalf of other people, you want to make everybody a part of it. right? You want your
Mhm.
conversation, you want your speech to be a part of what everybody felt there, not just the one person speaking on their behalf. So I remember being stressed and nervous because I was calling everybody, just trying to get bits and pieces of what their favorite thing was and how they felt about being inducted and things like that. And so um, I think it went well, but when it was over, I was relieved to more than anything. So
What are your emotions when you have been in the Rose Hill gym and you see your plaque and you see your picture? What goes through your mind?
you know how hard I worked actually to be up there. Like I just, and then to see all the people that you're enshrined with. There's a lot of unbelievable people that came through those halls that have done great things. And for me to be part of that is special.
Jeanine, the floor is yours. So sum up your Fordham experience and what you would like to say to the Fordham community.
Um, I thought I had a great experience. I loved the people there. And for me, it's about people and community and family. And that's what I felt when I was at Fordham. Community, family, teammates, camaraderie, uh, education was outstanding. And there were always people there, to be honest with you, to help you, whether it be academically, an academic advisor, or your coaches and things like that. And that was important to me. And being from New York and graduating from an outstanding university like Fordham meant the world to me, and being able to compete in two sports. So um, I enjoyed my experience there tremendously. And when people ask me all the time, would you ever go back at some point in time, to a specific part in your life? And I said, yeah. The 4 years in high school and the 5 years I spent in college, I would go back in a heartbeat. And people are like, oh, you're crazy. I wouldn't go back to high school or back. I enjoyed all of that competition, all of the people that I met. I enjoyed all of it, and it's a part of. It becomes a part of who you are, right? All those experiences, and I wouldn't change what I did for the world and where I went to college and the people I met for the world.
And once again, you said, I'd like to make a name for myself in the athletic circle. This you did.
Yeah, I did, and again, I don't really think about it every day. I don't think about things until people bring that to my attention. I just go about being who I am every day. And like I said, just trying to always be the best that I can be. There are days, you know, when I go home at night, hey, was I really good today? Right? Can I put my head on my pillow and say, hey, I helped some student athlete become better today? I mean, that's the goal for me. Um, and then everything else falls in place. I mean, everything else falls in place. You work hard, you do things, good things are going to happen. So
Does it
it's
seem like
honestly,
just
it's
yesterday?
incredible. It's incredible the things I've done. It is incredible. So, and I'm thankful.
Does
I'm
it
thankful to my family, thankful to God. You heard the song Wind Beneath My Wings? You can't do anything alone, right? So you have family, you have support, you have coaches, you have people that are always with you. And a lot of these players see, all these pros and the things that they're doing. Well, nobody's great all by themselves. There's a lot of people that have helped them along the way. And whether people say that or not, that's what happens when you become great, right? It's all the people helping along the way.
does it seem like just yesterday?
No, no. At times it does. At times it does. And then, like I said, one of the young ladies just broke my record in high school. And I'm like, oh my God, it's 30 years, almost 40 years that this record stood. And I'm like, am I that old? So, um, and, at times it feels like it was like yesterday. And other times, when I try to go out and do things, I'm like, oh my God. Like if I go for a run and I run, I'm way slower than I ever used to be. But you know, you take it for what it's worth. I always say to myself, hey, just you're moving in the right direction. Just keep moving. But yeah, no, it seems like it's been a while now for me.
But you have peace with all that you have accomplished.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do. And and that's incredible. I think incredible when you think about it because right, people always look and say, oh, I wish I would have done this, I wish I would have done that, and have regrets with some things. And I'm very fortunate. I don't have any regrets of how my life went and how my career went, or any of that. And I think that's a blessing. And that's, I don't know that many people can say that.
You've worn other colors. You wear another color at Richmond. You wore other colors at Delaware and Bucknell and Seton Hall, but there will
Yeah,
always be maroon in your heart.
absolutely. I mean, where you accomplish things, where you met people, how you grew up, all that is, I don't know. I mean, you can't, that's where it all happened for me. So, these other places are just stopping points along the way. So that was home to me.
And will always be. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
This production has been aided and abetted by Athletic Director Ed Cole, Assistant Athletic Director Kara Field, and the indispensable and the incomparable Joe DeBarry, a member of the Sports Information Directors Hall of Fame. As the great Hall of Fame broadcaster Ernie Harwell once said, I think I've done all the damage I can do. Please note, no animals, especially rams, were harmed in the production of this Zoomcast, nor any special effects used. And when all is said and done, there's nothing left to say or do. Thanks so much, everybody, for putting up with me. We'll see you next time on Ed Randall's Talking Rams.